Everybody to this live recap of Jeff Walker's live masterclass. This is the second year in a row that Jeff has done this, where he's actually done his whole launch live, which I think is really cool, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. So what we're going to do today, first of all, we want to encourage you guys to go sign up and watch what Jeff is doing. I sent an email out, I think 2 days ago, and I talked about how, one things we notice, great marketers, right? Great marketers study other marketers. They're constantly, picking up tips. They're constantly watching what others are doing. And, the old phrase, good artists copy, great artists steal, by Pablo Picasso. Actually, that was from me. I said that, stealing that from him, taking a cue, right? So go watch Jeff, and you can do that at mattmcwilliams.com/watch Jeff. And you can sign up for his masterclass. Listen, if you don't do anything other than just watch what he's doing, study how he's doing it, study how he's marketing, you're going to get a ton of value from his masterclass. Not to mention, you're going to learn how to launch your product, and you're going to learn a ton about how to run a business. He's got 12 hours is what he said he was going to have. He's already over delivering. We talk a lot about over delivering as a company. Yesterday, he went like 10 or 20 or 30 minutes long. And it wasn't that he went long because he was rambling. He went long because he had a ton of value. So real quick, for those of you on live, let me know where you're at. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're joining from. Ask a lot of questions. Just ask a lot of questions as we're going. If you don't understand something, you want clarification, whatever it may be, ask a ton of questions. So let me know where you're joining us. And also, quick heads up, this is a whole series of Facebook Lives. We're going to do 4 of these. So we've got our next one on Tuesday, September 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you want to get a reminder of that and the upcoming ones, just go to mattmcwilliams.com/FB chat, and you can get a reminder of all the Facebook Lives that we have coming up, recapping what Jeff Walker is sharing in his product launch masterclass. Now, before we get started and start sharing our takeaways from yesterday's masterclass, I want to make sure you guys know who's with me today. Most of you know Mark Sieverkrop. If you don't, he's the one who doesn't have hair.
You need to get out more. You need to get out more and watch these once in a while.
He's the one who doesn't have hair, and so he's easily identifiable. And then Robbie Miles, who's the one with the most hair. Because he's also a what is that thing called? Not the abominable snowman, but I can't think of it. Yeti. He's a Yeti. Robbie's a Yeti.
I saw somebody post the other day, and this doesn't apply to you, Robbie, so I'm not picking on you because I know you know how to do this, but it was a picture of a guy with a beard, like a Metro guy, and it said if you have a beard and you don't know how to change a tire, get a razor. That's awesome. I was like, yes, thank you.
So anyway,
anyways, carry on.
They've been going through the masterclass with me. We're going through it together as a team. So we're just going to jump on it and share our takeaways, and again, I really encourage you guys to go check that out at mattmcwilliams.com/watch Jeff. Because you can go through, like, we're gonna kind of touch on some of the big takeaways, but you really do need to experience for yourself. And so when you sign up, you'll have access to the replay from yesterday's live masterclass. I encourage you to be on live. It's an experience. You get to be in the comments, and you get to ask questions, and Jeff will actually answer them live on the air. That's, thousands of dollars worth of coaching in many cases. But if you can't watch him live, totally understand. If if life gets in the way mid-afternoon when he does these, you can watch the replay, but you have to get signed up to do that. He's not making the replays public, just FYI. Also, when you sign up, you'll get an opportunity to join his Launch Masterclass Facebook group, and I want you to do something. When you do, say hi to us. Just introduce yourself to everyone else. Say hi to me and Robbie and Mark, just so we know that you're in the Launch Masterclass Facebook group. If you're already in there, say hi to us now, if you're already in there. So I know we have like hundreds of people that are already in there. Make sure you say hi to us. So look, Mark, Robbie, let's jump into those takeaways. And I'll go first. I'll lead us off, and then we'll just kind of go back and forth with some of our different takeaways, and we'll see how many we have. See how long. I know I personally have a hard cutoff shortly before the top of the hour because I've got another presentation, but we'll see how long we go, and we'll just kind of play this by ear. So the first big takeaway that I got from Jeff is something he talks about a lot. It's kind of it's the whole premise of the product launch masterclass really is what he calls this myth of hope marketing. Like, I hope it works. And he mentioned a phrase that it took me back to the night that our daughter, or the day that our daughter was born. And that night we were in the hospital. And the night our daughter was born was almost 6 years to the day that my dad had passed away. And this movie came on the movie channel at the hospital called Field of Dreams. So here I am. I have a 12-hour-old daughter. And, right around the time where I'd lost my dad, and I'm watching a movie about a son and a dad reconnecting and playing catch. And I'm like in the hospital just bawling. But there's that famous line from that movie. If you build it, he will come. And I think that we get, as marketers and as business owners, as people, as creatives, it's easy to fall prey to the myth that if we build something, people just come. If we have a great product, people will just come. If we have a great message, people will just come. If we have a great course, people will just come. If we have great content, people will just come. That's not the way it actually works. It's not the way it actually works. You need a formula, a product launch formula perhaps, but you need a formula to get people to actually get those eyeballs. People will not just come. And so when he said that, it was, I've heard him say it, Mark, I don't know how many times you've heard him say it, probably 50 times, 100 times, but it just it stood out to me once again, because I knew that there were people hearing that for the first time. They're so caught up in making a better product. They're so caught up in just, in creating more content or better content, making sure their videos are polished. And here's the thing, if you have a polished video and 72 people view it, that's probably, that's not, like, think about it. If you spend like 5 hours on a video and 50 people view it, that's 10 people per hour. And I would rather you have a less polished video with 1,000 eyeballs, and because you know how to get people actually to it. So that was my first big takeaway, guys. I mean, really stood out.
Let me jump in there, Matt. That's one of the things that I know you and I see all the time, with new students and people that join our list, is they show up and it's like, well, I have this great product. Why do I have to promote it? I shouldn't have to promote it. If it's a good product, I shouldn't have to promote it.
Yeah.
And I get what they're saying, but it's not the way the world works. There's so much going on, and you post anywhere on social media and your post is lost in 5 minutes. You can't just assume that just because your product's good that people are going to find it. Now, here's the cool thing. If you have a good product, once you do what Jeff teaches, then it really works. It's pouring gasoline on the fire. But yeah, when he said that, I thought of Field of Dreams too. And I was thinking through it and I'm like, that movie has ruined more marketing efforts than any other movie ever, I'm pretty sure. Because everybody has in their mind, if I build it, it'll come. And then I started thinking, I'm like, in the movie, every time they say it, it's this creepy whispered voice. If you build it, they will come. Don't believe that.
Don't believe the whispered voice in movies.
Never.
I think it's the Yankees and the White Sox are playing in that field next year.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I heard about that. Yeah, that's cool. That's exciting. That's exciting.
Is big news,
It is,
think about it, gosh, this just hit me. I didn't even think about this, but I'll tell you who falls prey to this a lot is authors.
Yeah.
Creatives.
I think that it's the best written book that makes the top of the New York Times bestseller list. It's not. It's called
Kiyosaki that says that.
Bestseller list, not a best written list. And I agree. Well-written books will travel faster than poorly written books because you get 1,000 eyeballs on it and those 1,000 people spread it. It's just like good restaurants will travel faster. They will have good restaurants tend to have more people than bad restaurants. A bad restaurant can't last. But you said something very valuable there, Mark. It's pouring gasoline on the fire. And here's the thing. A lot of people put so much time into making a product. Well, let's say an online course, for example. They create the online course, but nobody's going through it. How is it supposed to be great?
Yeah.
You only have 4 people in the course. It's actually really hard to get feedback. And so I would rather you have a mediocre course and get 50 people in. You know, he's going to talk about this in the next masterclass lesson, guys. So again, go to mattmcwilliams.com/watch Jeff. You can get in, watch the first one, and get ready for the second one. But get 30 people, 40 people, 50 people in on the first one, the first generation. Have half of them tell you it's not very good, but what do you get to do? You get to improve it. Whereas if you spend hundreds of hours creating a product and it turns out it was actually the wrong product or it wasn't perfect, there are parts of it that are good. Yeah, Robbie, you've been there. I've been there.
Yeah, we've all been there.
That right now. You know, we've all been there, right? We created a mediocre product that didn't sell. Well, how do we avoid that? In part by just getting, we call it BIS, butts in seats. Just getting butts in seats, getting people to sign up and buy the product, test it out, give you feedback. You know, so we have internally, and we share this in our Start Mastermind, for example. So I know some of you on have seen this. We call it BIS pricing. You know, when you first come out with a product, butts in seats pricing means I don't care what you charge. When you first launch a product, it's not the time to be premium about it. It's get people signed up who will give you feedback. And one of the best ways to get feedback is to say, listen, I'm going to charge $2,000 for this. I'm only going to charge you $300. And all I ask is that you give me feedback after each lesson.
Honest feedback.
And you tell me what you liked and didn't like. And that's BIS pricing.
You know, Matt, you can tell me
something there. Sorry.
Oh, I was saying, getting that honest feedback from real users, that's what makes a difference, because a lot of times they'll support you as you build that product out more, and they're going to be your biggest evangelist because they're like, look at all this amazing stuff because they've seen the changes.
They co-created the course with you. They co-created the product. They're invested into it, not just the little bit of money they invested, but I mean, that's just human nature. You know, if there's a guy that I'm working with. I've shared this publicly, but you know, he's my mindset coach, right? And he's new. He's just starting out. Actually, the guy has a story. He has he went from 304 pounds down to 170 pounds, and he's helping me with that area of my life. And so I say that to say that I'm helping him. He's learning as much from me as I'm learning from him. But I'm invested in him, and here's what I did. I called him yesterday. I said, here's what I want you to do. We're going like way off on a rabbit trail here, but I think it's powerful. I called him yesterday. I said, here's what I want you to do. I need you to put it on the calendar. Tell me when you put it on the calendar. Find a weekday afternoon in, you know, late May, early June, and you and I are going to record a testimonial, a case study. We're going to record my story, and I'm going to tell your potential buyers how I lost 81 pounds. I'm going to tell them how I did it. Awesome. So go ahead and put it on the calendar, because 2 things. Number one, I'm now accountable to that. But 2 is that was my way of investing in him. I'm co-creating his business with him. I'm not a partner or anything. I'm not going to receive any money for it. But although I might be an affiliate for him and make some commissions, of course, but that's not the point. Like he needed butts in seats. And so he got me. And I'll share his story soon, because how he got me is actually really, really cool. I know you two know it, but yeah, I mean, that's how you do it. And so you don't just hope it works. You know, if you build it, he will come. If he had just gone out and created this coaching practice or a product about how he did it, he wouldn't have sold anything. So don't do that.
Here's a rule of thumb, Matt, and you can tell me if you disagree with this, but you should spend as much time, if not more, marketing the product as you do creating the product.
5 to 1.
You know, people spend hundreds of hours doing videos and writing scripts and all these things, and then they spend, 2 hours wanting to promote it and wondering why it doesn't work. And that's really where the rubber meets the road. And that's what Jeff's talking about. That's what he's saying is, look, you have this idea, you have this passion, you have this thing that you want to talk about. You should be spending the time to get people to see it, because every major company does that. He used Apple as an example, and how they have these major events every year, and hundreds of thousands of people tune in to watch the new iPhone, knowing that all that's going to happen is the camera is going to be a little bit better, the screen's going to be a little bigger or a little smaller, but they still tune in. They're still excited about it, and that's the idea, is getting people excited about what you're doing.
5-to-1. And that applies to your content. That's your podcast. If you spend a half hour writing a script and recording a podcast, you better spend 2.5 hours promoting it. Like otherwise you've got it backwards. You spend 4 hours writing a blog post and then you only spend an hour promoting it. Well, that's backwards. I'd rather you spend an hour writing it and 4 hours promoting it. And now don't write a crappy blog post, of course. But so Mark, I know you had a really cool a takeaway for our second takeaway here, and I'll let you share that. And I want to say hi to Rianne and Tanya. Hey Tanya, Larry, and Nelly as well. So again, let us know where you're joining us from today, just so we can say hey to you. And again, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat as well.
Yeah. So here's a minor takeaway. This isn't my takeaway, but did you guys notice that Dan's more involved this year? I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
He interacts with Dan a lot more, which is cool. Dan's his son, and also does all of his video and his photos and everything. So I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool to.
Sure.
Well, the squirrel has not been quite as involved.
A lot of people are coming more out from behind the scenes in Jeff's company.
Mm-hmm.
And the simple reason for that, and we sort of talked about that when we were together earlier this year, is like anybody who, Jeff's in his 50s. He knows he truly has a limited time left. He's probably statistically more than halfway through his business journey. That's just statistics, guys. I don't mean that the wrong way. And so it's time to start bringing those people out, because he is starting to think about legacy and how does product launch formula, outlive Jeff Walker.
Yeah.
And that is
I can't
start thinking about down the road.
I can't wait to see if Jeff sees this and has a response to your talking about his demise.
His death.
Oh, that'll come up at some point. If it doesn't, I'll make sure it does. All right. So my second takeaway was this idea of, I don't know, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he ever used the term freedom ladder, but that's what I thought of it as.
Yeah.
He had this progression of freedom. And he said, what everybody's really looking for is freedom. And as he was talking about it, he said, you start at money, and then you move to time, and then you move to freedom of place where you are at, then who you work with, and then you go to purpose. And, that's not anything new. I've heard him say that a ton.
Mark, I'm so sorry. This just hit me.
Okay.
I think he misses a step at the beginning. And how many of you, let us know in the comments. I'm curious, and there's a delay on the comments, but how many of you in the comments are currently part-time versus full-time with your online business? And before I see them, I know the answer, but that most of the people watching this are part-time. Mark, this just hit me. I can't believe that this just hit me, because he's talked about this before, but I think there's actually a freedom before money. Because for a lot of people who are part-time, financial freedom feels like it's 2, 4, 6 years, 8 years down the road. And I think that for me, it was 3.5 years into my blogging journey. So, and I think that's a pretty good barometer. I think you should set goals and I'm going to be financially free in 2 years. I think that's awesome. On average, it takes people about 5. So I don't want to be, I don't believe in being too realistic. Mark, the reason I interrupt you, I think it's just important. There is something before money. So I want to encourage people before we jump into the money part. Before you're financially free, I think there's mind freedom. And that's at least the term that came up, right now. It's when you have the dream of starting an online business, you have the dream of all the stuff he talked about: money freedom, time freedom, place freedom, who free, all the stuff that you'll talk about. When you have that dream, I think that's the first freedom. And I won't go too much into that. I just wanted to say that for those of you who are like, wow, I'm not even at money freedom yet. I can't even imagine being at money freedom. That's 2, 3, 4 years down the road. That's a long freaking time. Mind freedom, freedom of ideas.
Huge. That's so big.
The freedom that you have just because you live in 2019, that even though you're part-time, that you have an idea and you can disseminate that idea to as many people as could possibly see it. It might be 32 people today. I don't know. But that's huge. All right, Mark. So sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to address that before people got caught up on the money thing being first. And I'm going to tell you, I think he missed one.
Well, and I think it's a good point. And while hope doesn't work with your marketing, I think that mind freedom applies with hope. Having that, oh my gosh, I could have money freedom. I could have time freedom. I could have all these. That's where that mindset, that mind freedom comes in. Is just even allowing yourself to think that this is possible. So I think you're exactly right. But the one that I really honed in, I mean, we can talk about all of them if we want to, but the one that I really honed in on was the fact that, you hear so many people in the world today talking about purpose and finding your purpose, and that's important. It really is. And I don't want you to not think about what your purpose is, but I love that Jeff really honed in on, hey, it's okay if you're here today and all you're saying is, I need to make $1,500 so that I can pay my rent, or I need to make $1,500 so that my car doesn't get repossessed, or so that I can start to bring my spouse home from work, or whatever it is. And he really honed in on that. Like, it was funny because he even said, hey, why are you doing this? And he was looking at the comments and he's like, oh yeah, another purpose person. Yes, there's someone that just needs to make $10,000. And he was so excited because kind of what you're saying, Matt, these are the important things. These are where most people are at: the mind freedom, the money freedom, sometimes the time freedom. Most people aren't quite to, who you work with or purpose. And that's the main focus. Not that you can't think about that, but the main focus, and I know all three of us have been there, where the only concern is I have to pay for these tools for my business and I don't know where the money's going to come from. That's a very different motivation than I want to change the world through XYZ. And that's okay. And I think we need to remember that. Sometimes I think as entrepreneurs, we get so caught up in helping our audience and we want them to see the big picture and we want them to see what's down the road and we want them to think long term, that we forget that, gosh darn it, sometimes it's just about making this month work. And that's okay.
Can I jump in there, Mark? I think that sometimes thinking about it that way, and where you have this money motivation, that is like a gut motivation where you're going to achieve it. You're going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. And that really lays the seeds of your next launch.
Yeah. And I don't think that doesn't go away. I mean, Matt, I'm sure you saw too. There was a comment in our mastermind group the other day where somebody was saying, hey, my back's against the wall. I've got to do this.
Yeah. And
that always happens. And I think sometimes the coolest things happen when you're in that position. It doesn't feel like that during it. It doesn't. You never want to be there. But I mean, Matt, we had that
out of that place. Sometimes I make up goals. Like we all make up our goals, but I mean, I make up things like, no, we got to do this. I've got to schedule this. I need to make this many calls today. I don't have to. Most of the time, I really don't have to. But I find that I operate better out of a place of my back being against the wall. And I know it's really easy if you're a personal growth junkie like me, and I follow people, and I realize that all of the people I follow, like Jeff Walker, like Ed Milet, I mean, they're all in their 50s. And it's really easy for me to be like, they're all about purpose and giving back. And I'm like, man, but there are times where it's like, I just want to have more freedom of time. And, and I thankfully have kind of reached that point where I've got the freedom of place, which is I can do what I want, generally speaking, where I want. No, I can't technically do this. I can't do a Facebook Live where I don't have internet connection. But I'm choosing to do this Facebook Live. We could have just said, I'm not doing one. I'm where I don't have internet connection. Screw it. And so this idea of like, I look at them and I go, man, I'm just worried about having money, time, and place freedom. And they've got, purpose freedom where they get to live out their purpose. And I remind myself, wait, they're 50 something years old. I'm not sure how old Tony Robbins is, but I think he's in his mid to late 50s now, and because that's a different place in life. Yeah. And so, I remember sitting with Jeff Walker in March and I was talking about some of these leadership problems that I'd had when I was 25, 26, 27 years old, and how it had held me back because I was afraid I was going to make the same mistakes. And he's like, looks at me and goes, how old were you? I was like 26. He's like, and you had leadership problems. It might have had something to do with the fact that, I don't know, you were 26. Like you built a company way too fast for that age and struggled at it. And it just reminded me like, yeah, wait, I was 26, I'm 40 now. And most of these people are in their mid 50s. It's okay. It's okay to be at money. Like you said, Mark, it's okay to say, I just need, my freedom is I need to make $50,000 this year. Awesome. You'll get to purpose.
And I think this is again a little bit of a rabbit trail, but I think it's important for people to hear that, we've had things go wrong in our business. You would never know it. You guys probably never saw it or seen it, but because of that, some majorly cool things have came that never would have happened before. And I think that's important to realize. I'm not going to tell you to revel or enjoy the struggles that you're having, because I think that's a little bit psychotic sometimes when people say that. Enjoy this. You're going to love it when you get past it. Yeah, when you get past it, you'll love it, not while you're in it. But I mean, we've had some really, really cool things that happened that never would have happened had things not gone wrong. And I think it's the same thing wherever you're at with your business. While it sucks, and I'm not going to downplay that, understand that some really cool things happen when your back's against the wall. It just does. And looking back, you'll realize that, and so just keep pushing, keep going through it. One of my favorite things is Jocko Willink, right?
Willink.
That's his name?
Yeah.
Willink. I was reading in Tools for Titans, and he talks about how his response when anybody would come and give him a problem was good. And what a neat response that is, because his point was good. Now, how can you solve that? Good. What's next? What does that lead to? How can we adjust because of that? And I think that mindset is something that I'm learning and realizing. And when you're in that motivation where all you care about is mind freedom or money freedom or, any of those, good. What is that going to push you to do that you wouldn't do? We hear story after story of people that because their back was against the wall, they did things they wouldn't have done otherwise. And because of it, something major happened. Because of it, they had the success they needed. I mean, every underdog story we've ever heard has that as the premise. And it sucks when we're in that position, and nobody wants to be in that position. But guess what? You're going to be in that position sometimes. And just because your business gets to a certain level doesn't mean you don't get in that position again. You're going to be in that position, and cool things happen if you persevere, if you push through, if you say, good, what's next?
Love that. I'll just share this and we'll wrap up this point. As just encouragement to anybody out there who's in that position where maybe their back is against the wall and they feel like they're struggling. I've been there, a couple of times in our business. And I remember the moment. It was March of 2006. I remember that it was March of 2006 because we were in a meeting and we had the ACC tournament on in basketball. Wake Forest was playing Duke and we were watching the game. And here, the circumstances were we had built this nice company and we were doing about, $75,000 to $100,000 a month in sales. We had 6 employees, doing all right. And we kind of been holding steady for about a year, 6 months to a year. And we were pretty content. The three of us, the 3 business partners, were making decent money, $10,000 a month. And we were like, hey, life is good. It's more than I'd ever made, and I was pretty happy with life. And we lost our biggest client. They some stuff happened. They restructured and we lost them, and we were in panic mode because basically that money, everything else paid for the marketing to keep the lights on. That money was payroll. If you looked at it effectively, that $37,000 was payroll and then just a little bit more. And we were like, oh crap, what are we going to do? And so I'll never forget it. We had this epic meeting all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We were exhausted. And it was like 12 hours a day, and we mapped everything out. And it was literally one of those meetings. Here we are, a close to almost a 7-figure a year company. And we're on a whiteboard going, how can we, okay, if we do this, that's $500 a month. If we do this, it's 200. If we do this, it's 2,000. These weren't big, grandiose ideas. We're just fighting for survival. But that meeting, not only did it bring us together in a way that that only adversity can, it brought us together as a company. And so everybody's contributing ideas. We had my assistant, who had never sold a thing in her life, said, I can jump in and do sales. And her first week, she closed 19 sales when 20 is an outstanding week. She went on to become the head of HR in the company, just for the record. Had no intent. She thought she was going to be an assistant her whole life. She became the head of HR for that company a few years later. And, we started doing things like, tell you what, if you hit 25 sales, I'm going to buy you an iPod. Like, we're doing all kinds of things that we'd never done before. That meeting happened in March of 2005, when for the previous 9 months, we were averaging a little bit under 100,000 in sales. You can do the math on that. It's about $1 million a year. In 2005, we finished the year with $12.6 million in sales. not a bit of that would have happened if it wasn't for that adversity. If that client had not quit, I can tell you where we'd have been at that end of that year. We'd have done 1.4 million. We'd have grown a little bit. We'd have kept going steady and steady, and we'd have stayed right where we are. We would have been nice and comfy. And instead, because of that adversity, we came out of that and absolutely exploded. And sometimes you just need those moments. And so in that case, all we cared about was money. We didn't care about anything but where's like our next, like how are we finding $200 here, $500 here? And it led to $12.6 million that year, almost 18 the next year. That I look back on that moment, I remind myself anytime I'm in one of those situations, I've been there before and I know what happens. And it's not just the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like massive growth at the end of the tunnel. Let's talk about takeaway number 3, because takeaway number 2 was awesome.
So before we do that, Matt, I would just say that, go watch the replay, mattmcwilliams.com/watch Jeff. And he talks through all of those things. I mean, we spend a lot of time talking about mind and money, but he talks about all of them. And, you might be in another place, and that's cool. And at some point you will be, if you keep persevering, you will get to those higher levels, and those will be the freedoms you're worried about. So go watch that, because it is good to know what comes next.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Robbie, do you want to take the next one? Because we're going to talk about mental triggers, and I have one in mind I'd like to talk about, but I'm curious which one you want to talk about. So
why don't
you take the next one?
Yeah, as I was going through this, I watched it initially, watched the replay again this morning, and the one that stood out most to me is this idea of reciprocity. It's something we don't think about all the time, but really, it's kind of like that Christmas time, right? It helps build the anticipation. Christmas is coming. People are probably going to get you things, and you're on the hook. You're like, okay, I've got to do something back for them. And this mental trigger, it's not just about sales, but it leads into community and that social proof and all the other ones that he talks about. They're all kind of wrapped together in how we interact with one another. So that was the one that stood out most to me.
Yeah. I love that you actually talked about in there. So there's the 6, triggers. And if you want to dig into all of these, go to the URL that Mark just mentioned, mattmcwilliams.com/watch Jeff, and you can watch the replay of yesterday. But it's authority, community, anticipation, reciprocity, social proof, and scarcity. And some of those, it's like you get how they work. Like you kind of understand instinctively that scarcity, a deadline, nothing moves people like a deadline, works in marketing. But what, reciprocody, like Mark just mentioned, that's, if you really look at the product launch framework, what'd you say, Mark?
I said, or Robbie. You said like Mark.
Robbie just mentioned. There's like a long joke I could tell you about that, but I just don't have time. So I'll leave that hanging, which is anticipation, by the way. We'll touch on that one in a second. And so, reciprocity, I mean, that's the PLF framework, the product launch formula framework, which is you give, ask, jab, 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 right hook, and so it's this idea of like, I'm going to give so much value. And he's really testing the limits on that, by the way, with this masterclass, like, how much information and value can he give before he makes the ask? And he's like, there's like black area, white area, and gray area, which would be in between. It wouldn't be black, white, gray. It would be like black, gray, white. And he's like bordering up. He's in that gray area. Like he can see the black area, and if he goes any farther, he might cross it, but he's right there. And I think that's so powerful. And then you touched on it. You touched on another trigger in the context of reciprocity, Robbie, which was anticipation. And I couldn't help but thinking about Christmas. And there was this study that I read from, oh my gosh, I know the name of the university. I just can't think of it. It's out in California. Oh gosh, it'll hit me in a moment. Anyway, where they talked about they studied what was the best part of Loma Linda University, by the way. They talked about what was the best part of Christmas for kids. The best part of Christmas for kids is actually not December 25th. It's not even December 24th. It's November and early December. Mm-hmm. And so what they showed was like the anticipation of pleasure actually has more positive effects on the brain than the event itself. And so they did this experiment. And so what they what they showed, what they did the brain scans, right? And they said like participants in this experiment who just thought about watching their favorite movie had like, it was like a third more increase in endorphin levels and almost a 2 times increase in human growth hormone. I think it was like 24% and 86% or something. It was something just like insane in endorphins and growth hormone. And so I tell people all the time, like, one of the reasons I don't like spontaneity in vacations is I want to look forward to the vacation for 6 weeks before. You know, that's part of it, and getting the kids excited about it. And so that anticipation is so powerful. And so I just encourage you, find something to look forward to, but also find something that you can help your tribe, your audience look forward to, and really use that anticipation trigger, because it is like incredibly powerful.
Yeah. I mean, the worst part about Christmas is like 1 p.m. on Christmas Day when the presents are done and you've ate and you're like, what do I do now? I just got to take all this junk down. I mean,
yeah,
it was terrible. But no, I mean, jumping back to Robbie, what you said, I think one of the things that Jeff said that really hit me, and I was at my son as I was listening to it. Don't worry, it was on the dash. I wasn't touching it. And I remember him saying something like, I don't think our society.
Wait,
I don't think
on the dash or
the phone. The phone was on the dash. My son wasn't with me yet. And Jeff said something like, I can't remember if this is exactly what he said, but what I heard was he didn't know if our society could function without reciprocity. And when you think about that, it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, the only reason that I continue to work with Matt is I know that he's going to pay me. I mean, I don't do it out of the goodness of my heart. I'm just being honest. And that's the way all things
it's okay.
are, you know?
It's okay to be
it is.
in the money phase, Mark.
Yeah. Thank you. But I mean, think about it. Like, if you didn't,
by the way,
that was great. Yeah. If you didn't think you were going to get what you needed from the store, you wouldn't go to the store. I mean, everything around reciprocity. And when we can use that in our marketing, it's massive, you know, and that's exactly what Jeff's doing. You know, he's giving as much as he can. And is that our next one? I think it's our next one, Matt. So we could probably lead into it. You know, he's giving as much as he can because he's up front and says, I want you to invest in my program because it will help you.
Yeah.
So look at that segue. That was good.
I mean, that's number 4.
Good.
About he's going to offer a product, and he's upfront about that. Mm-hmm. Mark, there was a quote that he said that you shared with us. What was the exact quote that you wrote down?
Yes, I went back. I heard it yesterday, and I went back and listened to the replay because I wanted to get the actual quote. He said, full disclosure.
Larry's comment.
I know. I was getting ready to respond to it, and then you asked me to do something, and I couldn't respond right away.
I'm trying to drink here, Larry. Water.
I'm trying to drink here, Larry.
Let me drink in peace. I just want to sit here.
Get off my lawn.
So real quick, with that, actually, I just want to say, because for those of you just joining us, we're talking about Jeff Walker's product launch masterclass. We're doing a recap of Jeff Walker's product launch masterclass, and so far we've talked about how I just finished talking about some of the mental triggers. And again, we didn't talk about all the mental triggers, but if you want to see all of them, we sort of touched on reciprocity and anticipation. Go to mattmcwilliams.com/watch Jeff. We also talked about what Marcus termed the freedom ladder. We don't think Jeff used that term, but I really like that. And just that it's okay to be in a place where you really are focused on making money. And then we talked about hope marketing and how if you build it, you know, they will come myth in marketing is absolutely wrong. So again, mattmcwilliams.com/watch Jeff. You can see the replay of yesterday's once you get in, and you can watch the upcoming sessions live. I just want to make sure you guys had an opportunity to do that before we finished talking or continued talking about takeaway number 4 here. Mm-hmm. So what was that quote, Mark?
Jeff, you know, he said, full disclaimer, I'm going to be opening enrollment for my coaching program. And he said, and this is the quote, I'll be doing my best to get you to join because I know that's the best way to get you results. Full disclaimer, I'm going to be opening enrollment. Thanks for that, Matt.
That was Robbie.
Or Robbie, whoever. I'm like talking, and then it was like a ventriloquist. It was a ventriloquist.
And rather than repeat it, we just had Robbie's computer echo into it on like a 3-second delay.
Exactly.
And everyone
Live replay.
everyone watching.
Can I point out something?
Hey, it's your show. You can do whatever
I
you want.
believe wholeheartedly that this product launch masterclass that Jeff is offering completely for free is better than PLF Live was, or PLF was, the paid course. It's better than what people paid $2,000 for 7-8 years ago. That's how good it is now. And so just think about it. If product launch formula, the version 7 years ago, 8 years ago, produced as many sales as it has, and we're talking, $500 million to $1 billion in sales, right? If that course was that good, and this is better, like think about the training you're getting just from the product launch masterclass completely for free, and think about how good PLF is now. We haven't had a chance to go through this version. I'll just full disclosure. We have not had a chance to go through the 2019 version of product launch formula. I can't wait to do it because we're going to go through it as a team. And I like anticipation, right? I mean, I'm like, oh, I cannot wait till it's done. We're going to go through
I think it's actually considered the 2020 version, just so you know.
2020 version. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like the 2020 version, man. I'm like, I am so I'm so excited to go through it.
And I think for someone just starting out, and even for us sometimes, it's hard to remember or to be comfortable being as bold as Jeff is. And I love it because he just hits that up front, because I guarantee you, if he had not had that comment, if he had not said that, well, this is what happens in every single launch. Like I just saw somebody make this comment that they're getting comments on their pieces of content where it's like, oh, what's for sale? What's going to be coming up? Jeff, he's just upfront about it. There's not going to be any of those complaints anymore, because Jeff says, look, I'm going to open enrollment and I want you to be in it because it's going to help you. Mm-hmm. There, I said it. I mean, he didn't say there I said it, but he could have. There, I said it. All right. So quit complaining. Quit trying to make it sound like I'm trying to sneak something past you. I'm not. I want to give you as much value as possible. And he hits that. We're not even going to talk about the sideways sales letter today, Matt, but he talks about in the sideways sale letter over and over again. He said, now you're adding value this entire time. You're giving value this entire time. And the goal with product launch formula, and this is what I love about it, is yes, you're trying to sell something at the end, but even if they take what you give them for free, they should be able to have success. And that's our goal. I mean, every time we do content, that's our goal, is that even if you do not, and Matt, you even say that at the end of a lot of your trainings, look, even if you don't join us, take what I talked about today and use it, and you can have success. But also don't apologize for asking somebody to invest and to give you a little bit of money to help them to have better, faster, quicker results, because that's what's going to happen.
You're right. You just give me this. I never thought of this before, man. This is like two things today. I just figured out, I think this is what, so guys, just bear with me, because I think this is a good analogy, but I'm also intellectually challenged. In any sport, in football and soccer, I can, for free, we hand you the playbook. We hand you the playbook and maybe even show you a couple of ways that play is run. But the only way that we can, work with people on a close level is if they pay us, of course, because we run a business. And we don't apologize for that. I have a card sitting right here from one of our presentations. Businesses monetize, hobbies give away content indefinitely. I run an online business and businesses make money, and we don't apologize for that. So I liken it to, I can hand you the team playbook and say, you're on your own, show up Sunday and run the plays, or I can coach you all week long and I can walk you through the play, and I can explain what happens if the linebacker moves here, what happens if the safety's here, and here's how you do this. I coach girls soccer, and there's a big difference between, hey, Arceli, go watch this game.
You guys have linebackers?
Linebackers, safeties,
Yeah. No, I'm saying, and actually,
mixed analogy.
They learn best is if I literally just say, I want you to stay right here and shadow me, and I'm going to move and you move that way. And that's the paid product. Mm-hmm. And so, to your point, Mark, at the end of our Passion to Profit training, and Mark, you can drop a link where people can register for that. It's just passiontoprofitpath.com. At the end of that, I say very specifically, hey, if you choose to join us, love the declaration, Tanya. If you choose to join us, in our paid program, awesome. That's awesome. I'm excited, and of course on many levels. But if not, take what I taught. Don't have wasted the last hour and a half attending this training and do nothing with it.
Yeah.
I gave you the playbook. I gave you the path in this, right? I walked you through step by step. You just need to go execute now. Now, if you want me to walk with you, that's our paid coaching program. But we still give the entire path, and even some very practical things. I got an email the other day, Mark. There's a thing in there where we talked about pattern disrupts in the training. And she said, hey, just want you to know, I got off the training. This was a training at, it was the one we did at 9 p.m. a couple, like 2-3 weeks ago. We did at 9 p.m. Eastern. So we finished at like 10:30, right? She said, and this email came in at like 11:58, and she's like, hey, just want you to know, I just disrupted a pattern. I emailed my list tonight after the training. I'm like, boom.
Yes.
She's going to get results from
Application.
that, even though she never paid us a dime. And that's how your free stuff should be, by the way.
And I was along those same lines. This is something that really hit me. I was listening to Christian Michelson. Michelson? Is it Michelson? Michelson. Who follows Jeff as well. But Christian said something that really hit me. And he said, the minute that someone pays you money, you're providing value to them because they take it more seriously. They feel like they've invested in themselves and they do more. And I think that's something we forget about sometimes. Matt, I quote my friend John a lot where he says, people who pay attention. But you're adding value just by asking somebody to invest in themselves. And we need to remember that as entrepreneurs, as business owners, that we're actually helping them by asking them to pay for some of the content. Because I can tell you, Matt, you and I have been in a position where, we've had clients and stuff that have given us programs, given us access to their programs. I'll be honest, I don't value them the same way I value one that I've purchased myself, that I've paid money for. And that's a big difference. And even though I know that I do that, and I tell myself, gosh darn it, so-and-so gave us this program and it's really good and I need to go through it, I still don't, because I didn't invest in it. And so by Jeff telling us upfront,
how many of the ones we've invested in, how many of the books that I bought are sitting there unread? A few, because I haven't read them yet. But I have, guys, if you've seen my old set where I've got the bookcase there, I didn't pay for most of these. I haven't read most of them either. The books that I've paid for are all sitting in a stack next to my bed, right? Yeah. They're highlighted, dog-eared, they're bookmarked. I've got paper sticking out of them where I wrote notes. They're written over. A lot of them, those notes have ended up in some of my journals here, with notes from the books, pictures taken, sent to Mark, the books I read, because I send a lot of pictures of them to you guys. Yeah. The books for free, I don't send pictures of them to you. And that's why, actually, truth be told, like with, I won't mention who, because I don't know if I'm at liberty to, but they had a book just come out. And I actually, he was like, hey, can I send you a copy? I said, no, honestly, I'm looking forward to this book. I think it'll really help our business. I don't want a free copy. I really don't, because I know I won't read it. Mm-hmm. So I pre-ordered it and waited until it came out. And just like everybody else, because there wasn't really an option to pay him in advance for it. And that's how I did. I almost fell over there, by the way. I'm like, I'm trying to stretch my right ankle while talking at the same time, and I'm like, I'm gonna fall over.
Yeah. And I know this allows us, what is it, $10 every time we mention Ray Edwards, but this is the one, or is it $100?
$100.
$100. All right. Ray, here's another one for you. This is one of the things that I respect most about Ray. Ray is in the same position where he can get free access to a lot of programs, and he tells people all the time, I flat out refuse. I will not let my friends give me money or give me a program for free. I'm going to pay for it. And I think part of it is because he respects what they do and the time they put into it. But I think part of it probably is too the same thing. He wants to value it, and he wants to treat it that way. And so he wants to invest in it and give it the respect it deserves. So yeah.
I want to address what Larry just said before we move on to the fifth takeaway real quick, because we are running short on time. And he said, not always, and could you put that up on the screen, Mark? Not always does paying for something actually get you to do it. Sometimes, we get busy, right? We forgot we bought something. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, This is magical. Not my phone in particular. This thing is magical. You know how I remember my goals? I don't write them down personally. I mean, I do once, but I don't write them down. I have them pop up on here. Reminds me what my goals are, right? How do I remember to do a lot of things? It's here. So if it's important to you when you purchase a course, you'll put it on your calendar. First of all, we tell our students all the time, put it on your calendar, 3 days a week, 1 hour a day. Don't try to do 10 hours the first week, 20 hours a second. You'll get burned out. Consistency, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. And if you miss a day, you pick it up the next time. It's like a dose of medicine, right? You miss a dose, you pick it up the next time. You don't forget to take medicine. Not if you do it right. Why? You put in here, take medicine. I put in here, no joke, even though I'm in the habit now, I put in here, take vitamins. Take vitamins. Why? Because I will forget one day out of every 14. And I won't be as healthy at the end of the year if I miss 26 vitamin doses. So I put it in here, take vitamins. If it's important to you, you'll put it in your calendar. You'll write it down. You'll get an accountability partner. You'll make the time. And I get it. I mean, life has gotten in all of our ways. Life got in our way yesterday, and I missed out on some stuff. Life doesn't get in your way for very long. If you're going through cancer, spouse dies. I totally get that. I've been there. That was spouse dying or cancer, thankfully. But, I went ask me how much I got done in April of 2005. April of 2005. Not very much. Why? Because my dad had just passed away, and I was a basket case for 4 weeks. But I got back. Once I got back on track, I had the reminders. I had the calendar. All that stuff. So real quick, number 5, because I apologize. I've got another appointment. Mark, this is something you said, but I'll let you share what point number 5 is.
Yeah. No, I think, a lot of people will watch Jeff and say, oh my goodness, he's so relaxed. He's so laid back. He's joking. He's oh man, I can't find my page. And, all of these things. And it seems really conversational. And it seems really laid back, and it is. But I can tell you something about Jeff because I know this, and I know Matt's the same way. It seems like they're off the cuff. It seems like maybe they lost their spot for a second. They didn't, and that comes from having it completely dialed in. Jeff's taught PLF so many times in so many different arenas and on stages and in person and small groups and large groups, audio. I mean, written it, there's so many different ways that he knows the content. And because he knows the content, he's able to be laid back. He's able to joke around. He's able to add in those things that make it feel like and he did say, he goes, I have notes so I don't lose my spot, but he jokes around. Where was I at? Oh my gosh, where's my slot? Which paper am I on? I can't find my paper. Some of those are probably true, and he can do that because he knows the content so well. So I don't want anybody to look at that and say, oh, that means I can just go on and be a goofball when I create my videos. It takes a lot of preparation to look like you didn't do any preparation.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of preparation to be able to joke around. And Matt, I mean, on these Facebook Lives, I mean, we have a template, we have a script, we have not everything written out because we've done it a ton. But I can tell you when we first did them, they were a lot more scripted than they are now. And we know exactly what we're going to do. We've interacted with each other enough. So it's important to remember that preparation is important. I mean, it's important to remember that preparation is important.
I'm going to take a picture of what I see behind my camera, guys, and I'm going to post this to Facebook in a little bit. So, Mark, if you can remind me to post this to Facebook because I've got like 7 calls this afternoon, guys. So it's going to be kind of crazy. I don't know if I have time. At some point.
Hey, Matt, remember to post that to Facebook.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to post that to Facebook. I want you guys to see what we're seeing. We have a script. It's bullet points. So It says right here, seems relaxed, laid back, only possible because it's 100% dialed in. You can't appear to wing it until you've completely dialed in. And I asked you, Mark, to remind me to share something, which is, and I was just sharing this with you guys. What did I tell you guys? As soon as we got on it, guys, you got to listen to this podcast episode. It's Frank Caliendo. For those of you who don't know who Frank Caliendo is, he's the I
think John Madden.
He's known most for the and he's known for doing the John Madden impersonation. The quarterback, he puts his hands on the center's butt, and then a touchdown, and that's how he goes. So listen to that, guys. That was the worst John Madden ever. But
that was a terrible John Madden. Yeah.
But that's the point, is he actually talks about making him into a caricature. Like you can't sound exactly like John Madden, because he does that in the episode. He talks just like John Madden, but then he does this caricature impersonation of John Madden.
Oh, I want to hear that.
He says in there, it's totally spot on with what you're saying, Mark, is he talks about how he's got into acting, and he said the only way to act like you're not acting and to really internalize it is to memorize the lines. And he said, here's when you'll know you memorize the lines: if you can do something else while doing the lines. He said, so what they'll do is they'll go practice and they'll go play catch while doing their lines, because they have to be doing something else. And when they can do that, they've internalized it. And so for me, internally, we have this phrase, we just call it getting our reps in. And so if we're working on a presentation, what's our goal? 52 reps, 52. I'm on rep 9 of 52. I don't expect it to be perfect, with one presentation. And so I'll do that presentation if there's 5 people on. Why? I need the reps. I practice it. I'll practice sections of it just walking. I went for a walk today. I'll tell you guys this, but I practiced. There's a new section that we've changed a little bit, and I just went through it. Just practiced like 15 minutes of it. And so we're getting those reps, just like butts and seats pricing that we talked about earlier. And that's the only way you can just, he can do it off bullet points now, just like we did today. But if you go back, Mark, when we did Facebook Lives a year ago, we had those suckers scripted out to the word. And then we'd go off the cuff, but we had scripts. I don't need those anymore because I've internalized this stuff. And so, guys, make sure you go check out Jeff's stuff, mattmcwilliams.com/watch Jeff. You can watch the replay of yesterday, and also
next one's on Monday.
Yeah, next one's on Monday. We'll be live next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel, meaning Facebook, 1 p.m. Eastern, and Friday, because he's got one Monday, he's got one Thursday. We're going live Tuesday, Friday, and then we've got another one the following Thursday that's going to blow your guys' mind. I mean, I cannot tell you what it's about, not because we don't know.
Awesome.
Sometimes I can't tell you what something's about because I don't know what it's going to be about. But I know what it's going to be about. I just can't tell you. So anticipation, trigger, right?
That one's going to be so good.
Guys, you are awesome. Robbie, thank you for sharing. Mark, thank you for sharing. Guys, I can't wait till Monday. So get ready for Jeff's Monday, September 16th, mattmcwilliams.com/watch Jeff, and have an amazing weekend, y'all. See ya.
See you guys.